Hey all, and welcome to a very spooky couple of NTom and Volk Spot of PC episodes. The gimmick's already worn off and we're not 1 minute into the video. Glorious. This is Crypt of the Necrodancer by Brace Yourself Games. It's a bit of a roguelike, a bit of a rhythm game, a bit of a Volk. You can explain this better than I ever could, so I'm going to throw it over to you.
It is a rogue-like rhythm game, as you so say, and the way that it works is that you move and attack to the beat of the background music. And doing so in a efficient manner will award you with bonus multipliers, in some cases damage, more gold, more points, all that there good stuff. And of course, flubbing it might cause problems, as in you might miss beats, which cause you to skip turns, which means the enemies can overwhelm you very, very quickly. So it's a fairly challenging game, especially later on where the songs get pretty damn intense. But we're going to play the first couple of levels of this here video game.
If you're new to NTom and Volk Spot of PC, what we essentially do with each game is we just do a quick look at it. You may be familiar with this format if you're a fan of like Giant Bomb. They do quick looks on games and whatnot. And while we've done roguelikes before, yeah, I saw the names. Very good, Volk, very good. While we've done stuff like Binding of Isaac, that's amazing, by the way. I thought it was just a name, but no, it's a sprite. We've never done a rhythm game, so this is cool. This is a first for Spot of PC.
There are a couple of decent rhythm games I have at my disposal. There was a game previously known as Sequence, which is a very nifty little rhythm game, and of course you got the likes of Beat Hazard and such as well. But Crypt of the Necrodancer comes into its own by having its own original music with the roguelike mechanic. But as you may well have noticed, we are in fact now playing as Shulk, and I thought since it's Halloween and you like to get involved in a little bit of dress up, I figured best way to do things here is to show off a couple of mods in the process, because we don't do that very often in Spot of PC either, and I figured having something like this would be a fun way to tie it into the Halloween experience additionally. This is really charming, I've got to say. It's sucked me in right away, not just because of the glorious Xenoblade stuff, just because of the style of it. Oh yeah, it has a very, very neat style, and the shopkeeper is one of my favourite things because he actually sings to the song in like this word, ba 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 ba. It's actually really, really funny.
So, when did you first play Crypt of the Necrodancer, mate? Do you remember?
Not entirely. I picked it up at a Steam sale, and I remember playing it through it, and it was ridiculously hard, as I found out. And I was kind of in my rhythm game binge at the time, so I was kind of looking around for some new pastures just to see what was what. And I picked it up again in a live stream about a year or so ago, and slowly but surely I've been getting better in like the odd hour or two, maybe every couple of weeks that I can spend on this game. I like seeing the mod packs as well and seeing what else got introduced, which was how I found out about a couple of the mods, but the Shulk mod in particular was given to me by someone in the Discord chat after I'd actually finished the live stream that I did of the game. So it's just like, oh, are you aware that there is a Shulk mod in this game? I was just like, no, I was not, and I just downloaded it immediately.
I've got to have it! That's the HFC Discord, I assume.
Yes, it was.
Okay, well, I'll put a link for that in this video's description. We also have a Patreon Discord, but you need to pledge at least $1 for that. Shill, shill, shill. Happy Halloween, y'all. Let's see. I'm going down the Wikipedia page here. You can use a keyboard or a gamepad, or you can even use a dance pad to play the game. That's amazing.
Yep, it does allow you to use dance pads, and that is a very incredible thing. I can imagine it being about 3 times as hard though, especially when you get to the later levels, and there are certain characters as well where the beat is deliberately made faster. It gets very, really intense.
So this is out on Windows, OS, Linux, PlayStation 4, PS Vita, iOS, Xbox One. Nintendo Switch release has been confirmed, but it's TBA right now.
I can't remember exactly when they're bringing it out. I know that they very recently came out with an expansion to this game, which I have yet to try, but I imagine when I get through the main game, I'll probably end up picking it up at some point, but I'm going to go for the main content first and then worry about that later.
Sounds good, fam. I'm going to read a little bit of the plot here. In the main game, the player controls Cadence. music themed, obviously. The daughter of a famed treasure hunter that has gone missing. In searching for him, she falls into a crypt controlled by the Necrodancer, who literally steals Cadence's heart and forces her to challenge his minions to a dance-off to retrieve it. She is forced to fight through the crypt's dungeon with her actions tied to the beat of the music and her heart, so as to stay alive and defeat the Necrodancer. Ooh, man. Music is fucking kicking in this game. It was all composed by Danny Baranowski.
There's not a single track in this game from what I've been hearing on the YouTubes that I have actively disliked. It is all pretty much out the ballpark.
Oh,
quality stuff.
He also did the music for Super Meat Boy, The Binding of Isaac, and the 2014 game Amplitude.
Ooh, okay, that actually makes a lot more sense now, because I did think some of it is kind of similar to some of the boss themes in Isaac in particular, and there's like a couple of Meat Boy tunes that I can kind of see where that comes from. Yeah, that actually makes perfect sense. I didn't actually make that association until you said.
There you go, there you go. Just in case you're wondering why Volk sounds a bit rougher than usual, he's been partying it up in London recently, the lucky git.
Yeah, I've been attending the MCM Expo and I literally got back about midnight on Sunday, so I've had some time to rest, get up, and it's immediately to the HFC work, so well, apologies if I do sound a bit rough around the edges, but I'll do my best.
Well, I had to get up at 7 to bring the bin in. I've been working hard too.
Well, to be fair, you've been working hard, I've been playing hard.
There you go, there you go. We formed two sides of the same coin. Alright, Volk, what are we working with here? Are you ever going to buy the Monado? It is Shulk's signature weapon.
Well, all the weapons are pretty much themed around the Monado. You might notice the one we have at the moment has like kind of a gold blade to it. And that signifies a weapon that gets stronger like right after you pick up a bunch of gold. So you can have these situations where you can leave gold deliberately on the floor, lure an enemy to it, and then pick it up and immediately slice someone for massive amounts of damage.
Okay.
There are other types of weapons in the game as well. You've got your standard weapons, which is basically box standard. You've got glass weapons, which are really, really powerful, but if you get hit, they break.
Yeah, glass.
And then you've got titanium weapons, which are like slightly stronger versions of the normal weapons. Got obsidian as well, which is stronger still, and I believe there's one more tier above that, but I can't quite remember what it is. But I'm going to interrupt myself ever so slightly because we got bosses now.
Jesus Christ, Donkey Konga up in this bitch!
And it is actually a conga tune as well, so you gotta stop at the right time as well, otherwise you get your ass pushed in.
Are they doing the Thriller dance?
I would assume so, yes. See, it's just Halloween themed all up in this bitch, ain't it?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. What do you watch when it comes to Halloween films, Volk?
I'm not really much of a Halloween film buff, to be honest with you. But if I had to make a choice, probably I guess you could probably say Nightmare Before Christmas, I suppose, because it's a nice segue in a ways. So I like to. That's probably one of my favorites. That's probably my go-to. For my family, they do like themselves a bit of Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Nice. Nice. I'm going with this year, the original Ghostbusters, since I never watched it. I've only ever watched 2. Coraline, never watched that. And a couple of old favourites like, yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas and maybe Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf, Red Shaggy for Life.
Of course, of course. So, the way that you can play this game is that you can have a mode which lets you go through all the 4 areas. I believe the expansion adds a 5th zone for you to play in as well. Or you can do what we're doing, which is going through the zones individually, and that's how you get the story elements in there.
Oh man.
But if you want to like go through it sort of like arcadey mode, then you got that all zones mode that kind of, it disables all your things, but it unlocks everything from the start.
Alright, it's time for some auras!
Oh, yes. I do quite like this one as well. It doesn't like change the weapons like it does with the Shulk one, but you know, it's freaking Jotaro, man. And of course you got Star Platinum holding on to Jotaro's heart at the bottom there to help you keep in tune.
Oh, that's amazing. That's right out of Stardust Crusaders. Yeah, that's right. I watched the anime. I've not read the Part 3 manga because at the time I was like balls deep into the anime, but I did read 4 to like 7, I believe. I haven't read JoJo Alien, because that's not done yet.
Well, I could actually one-up you on that one, because I actually watched the Part 3 OVA from way back in the day.
Well, weren't we meant to, like, have a movie night for that, and you never got back to me on that? Ooh.
Well, I think the idea was that you thought the OVA was like a full-on movie, whereas it was actually a 12, 13 episode long like thing. It's like it's kind of an abridged version of like the actual material itself, not referring, of course, to the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure abridged parody, which is obviously very, very good as well.
Fair enough, mate.
But this level is pretty damn tricky. This is usually where I struggled the most, because especially with some of the bosses, they are incredibly difficult. There's a red version of the dragon we fought on the first floor. And yeah, he kind of kicked my ass a lot back in when I first started playing this game. But luckily, obviously this game is pretty damn tough, and there will be certain areas of the game that you will inevitably struggle. But the way that the game works is that depending on how far you progress, you can unlock things that allow you to practice against those sort of things. So there is a gentleman in the main lobby who will actually let you fight all the different mini-bosses that you've encountered so far, even the ones that you've died to. And it will put you in a position where it's not quite optimal, but it kind of best displays the mechanics that are in play and allows you to kind of think, okay, this is what he does, so he will like take a few steps forward, then have like a giant fire laser come at you.
Okay.
So you kind of figure out when precisely to dodge. Of course, it's not perfect, because obviously this is all randomly generated and the area may not be suited to the fight anyway, but it does try and give you the tools that you need to understand the things that you're struggling with and ultimately figure out ways in which to beat them. So provided you have the patience, you will always have a means to be able to overcome just about any fight.
Oh, well, it's a pity you don't have Star Platinum the world at this point, otherwise that dragon wouldn't have been a bad thing.
True that, true that. But that's okay. I mean, Jotaro, even without the powers of the world, is still no joke.
Mm-hmm. No joke, if you will. There's that glass weapon you were talking about.
I try to stay away from glass weapons just because they are very, very powerful, but if you're getting surrounded, having all that power doesn't necessarily make a difference. And we're doing pretty well as it is. We've got ourselves a charm that does actually give us some extra damage. And we got the titanium rapier as well, which gives us... Yep, there's the auras for you.
Is this taking sound clips from like the PS1 game or something on the OVO?
I'm pretty sure it's taking it from the PS1 game, so all of those are taken from there, which may be why it sounds a bit... I don't know the best way to describe it, but you can tell it sounds like it came from a PS1 game, let's put it that way.
Yeah, for sure. It's got that certain sound atmosphere to it. I know words, I know terms. Alright, so how far are we from the boss of this particular level, mate? Because this is a pretty short episode. We like to keep Spot of PC like concise wherever we can, just so we don't belabor the point or run out of like commentary and whatnot, because trust me, that can happen with quick looks.
Absolutely. The idea behind this is that each zone has 3 floors and then obviously the boss floor. And the idea is that you go through all 3 floors, then you find the boss floor, and then depending if you're going through the zones individually, you'll get a little bit of a cutscene that gives you a little bit more story. Or you either just go straight onto the next floor if you're either doing the all floors mode, or if you are doing one of the daily challenges. Which is another thing you can do in this game. So if you're into a different challenge every single day, you can just quickly go onto Crypt and Necrodancer and see what their daily challenge is and see if it's up your alley.
I wonder if a game could ever survive by having decade challenges. Like, you have to come back once every 10 years. Do you think people would still care by the time the second one rolled around?
I would have to have my doubts on that one, to be entirely honest with you.
Just spitballing.
But you may notice as well, we just freed a rather dashing knight bloke, and that's how you get all the different shops and, I guess, training rooms when you're going through the game. You find a key, or you buy one from the shopkeeper, and then you find a person's cage to unlock it. And right now, we actually have a glass key, so we have to be very, very careful not to get hit before we find the person who is trapped, so that we can use this here glass key to open it up. Although, the idea of a glass key seems a bit redundant if I have to be entirely honest. Just like, who makes a key out of glass?
You know, the idea of Link dropping the small key in, you know, old school Zelda every single time having to find a new one is silly, because it all looks like the same kind of lock to me.
I suppose you're right there. I can also explain a little bit more about the unlock mechanics, because it's not just tied to the people that we're freeing from the prisons on the the different floors, I suppose. You can also unlock new weapons and pickups by collecting diamonds, which are scattered across all of these levels. And depending on how many you're able to get in one run, you can afford to get some very, very significant pickups. Or if you only manage to get a few, there's usually like a pickup or two that you can unlock, like maybe a slightly stronger piece of armor, or maybe a slightly different weapon, like maybe a whip or something. So generally speaking, each time you play through the game, even if you don't necessarily get to the end, there's usually something you can unlock that'll either help you out a little bit, or just vary things up a bit.
Nice.
And apart from that, you can also unlock new characters to play as, and those will have different quirks to them, like they might have different starting weapons, for instance, or maybe it will add more challenge by adding more beats for you to follow, so that's just more room for you to screw up, but it does allow you to go through levels quicker. Or maybe they reward you in ways like they have a really, really stupid ability. Like there's one, I believe, that was being used in one of the Games Done Quick speedruns of this game, where there was a character that dies the minute you pick up a single piece of gold. But all the items in the shopkeepers, I believe, are free. And on top of that, I believe the beat is just so damn quick with that character that it just gets ridiculous very, very quickly. Usually you need like a specific set of pickups in order to really get into him, like the ability to go through walls so you can avoid gold pickups. But there are other characters as well that just have like neat little different gameplay mechanics. It's not all just, oh, this dude is super challenging. There are some that actually legitimately add neat little gameplay mechanics.
Man, even the bosses sound like stands, really.
They really, really do. It's kind of ridiculous. I guess this is partly why this Jotaro mod here works quite well in that sense.
I'm liking how they dance in the formation of their actual chest counterparts.
Yep, and of course we managed to do that with only one heart and we didn't take a single hit, so it rewarded us with a nice healthy supply of diamonds, so we can use that to unlock some new stuff or perhaps some permanent upgrades for when we are going through the main story.
Nice.
But as far as this game is concerned, I do have one last mod to show off, and whilst so far we've been messing around with mods that have changed the characters a little bit and added a little bit of extra flair and flavour from there, this next mod literally takes it up to 11 and changes just about everything except for the music, and even that can also be changed via mod packs.
Aww.
Yep, and we've unlocked Zone 3 now, which I will not be showing off because I died horrendously on the 2 attempts that I tried to do. Okay, but at that point I had enough footage, so I thought, you know what? I think that's fine. I'll just show off this last mod, and then I can give closing thoughts and all that jazz. Also, we're going to check out and see what those new characters that we freed in the prison actually unlocked for us. So, the top 3 shops are usually where you get your item pickups. So in this case, we got the permanent upgrader up at the center. You've got spells and trinkets to the right, and you've got weapons and armor to the left. And then you've got the boss master, where you can practice against mini bosses and main bosses. And advanced techniques if you happen to need it, so you can learn a few things here and there. And the fox-looking dude, or I guess he's a dog or a werewolf, I'm not entirely sure, he will actually, for diamonds, give you weapons to actually start your next run with, which can be very handy, especially for the later floors, which I would say is always borderline required to be able to survive. Ooh. And this chap here actually lets you practice with all the different weapons, and actually lets you modify them with all the different modifiers so you can practice with them. So if you want to make more use of glass weapons, but you're perhaps afraid of them breaking and everything, best thing to do, make some glass weapons, just play around with them a bit. You might learn a bit more about how they work, and you may be a little bit more savvy with how they are used. But here we go, the last mod is Crypt of the Necrodancer. Are you ready for this?
I don't know. Oh my god!
Yep, it literally changes everything. So the levels, the sprites, just everything, and it all becomes Mega Man themed. And the only thing that isn't actually changed is the music. And whilst I think there is a mod pack that has Mega Man tunes specifically, I do think it kind of throws a bit too much into the works, especially if you've been playing this game for a while and you're just used to how like all the songs go in the normal levels. So I can kind of understand why they didn't include that by default, but I do believe there are mod packs out there that let you have your Mega Man tunes in there, and you can Necrodance to the likes of Gutsman stage or Woodsman stage or whichever stage you want, really.
Well, there's got to be some Mega Man electronica remixes out there. I don't know. It seems fun as is, and I gotta say, it's charmed me, has Crypt of the Necrodancer. It's refreshing, it's new, 2 out of 10 IGN. I'm sorry, the check didn't clear in time.
But yes, if you're looking for a decent challenge especially, this game is very much up your street in that regard. It is pretty damn difficult, and there's plenty enough in there to either add or twist the challenges ever so slightly. So if you're looking for some variation, this game has oodles of it as well. If you're looking for a game with plenty of mod packs, that's got lots of those as well, thanks to the wonderful, wonderful modding community. And the game itself, beastly music, kick ass, and that's about all I have to say.
Bye!